Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the... Okay, I think it's Storm Collectibles. I don't think... It's not officially, okay? This one was called Mithril Action, but it's now it's Grey Knight. It's the same company, Mithril and Grey Knight, so whoever did this, Sylvanas, is the same people doing this. This is the MAGMA FORGEMASTER, Guardian of the Horde, number 5. I think it's Storm Collectibles. Everything that I can tell about this figure tells me it's the same company who's doing the same factory, at least, the same styling, same designers as who does Storm Collectibles. I don't know for sure. It doesn't have any indication that it's made at the Mascaway factory, but I think it is. I mean, it doesn't officially say that, but I think it is. If anybody knows whether or not that's accurate, you can go ahead and comment down below. But it sure feels like a Storm Collectibles orc to me, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. But it's pretty cool, and it has some things that aren't so cool, but let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. It has a smaller window by a lot. A small window, but a smaller window than Storm Collectibles, for sure. But a very similar type package, because it does have the window, it does have the same general shape. I mean, obviously there's not that many options for packaging, but still, it is somewhat reminiscent of Storm packaging. I don't know, and the way the figure's designed, pretty reminiscent. But yeah, it's a cool enough looking box, I guess. Yeah, okay, let's get the box out of the way. It's big and gigantic and takes up too much space. Alright, so this guy is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store, by the way. If you want to get one, I'll put a link in the description below. Let's take his helmet off, just to get a better height. He stands to the top of his noggin about 21.5, we'll say. That's a rough one. And that's going to be about, let's just say 8.5. Here he is up against Darwin, so he's really big. And I think he's only 120, 130 bucks, which is not bad, but it does kind of it makes me think of Storm again. Alright, so let's put this back on, and mine has a paint issue on the front of the helmet, which I don't actually mind too much because of the way it looks, but that little splotch right there, that bright spot, isn't supposed to be there. Anyway, this guy is an orc filled with armor that has glowing orange spots on it. And it looks pretty good. I mean, the closer you get to it, the less good it looks, but it looks alright from a distance, for sure. They did the right thing with like the bright color and then shading, but it's not so consistent that, like, I don't understand why these are bright orange around the top here when his face isn't glowing at all. So there's some weird stuff going on. I mean, if you're working with fake lighting, it's pretty hard to make it look right, but they did alright. Let's do a question of the day. Are you guys into this kind of stuff or not? I don't want to review it if nobody wants to watch it, so let me know. Do you guys like these third-party orc-type reviews, or what do you think? Okay, so let's get into the aesthetic. Like I said, the armor is filled with the fake, like, magma type look. Otherwise, it does look pretty good. The sculpt is nice. It's like a dark thing, so it doesn't have a whole lot of actual metal flake in it. I think they could have done a little bit more metal flake. There's a little bit of silver on the edges here and there, but nowhere near enough that would make me happy. And you could argue it's supposed to be covered in soot, but nothing else on him is. So, not buying it. But yeah, he looks pretty good, other than he's got so much going on here that it's good that you can remove everything. So you can decide how much you want on him. If you only want to do the shoulder pads and get rid of the collar and the helmet, you could definitely do that. I even think taking the helmet off goes a long way. But maybe take off the collar, leave the shoulder pads, put on the helmet, maybe you're better off that way. You have options, so that's a good thing. But yeah, he looks pretty good otherwise. The skin tone's a nice matte finish. This is done well, this soft piece, this cloth piece right here that's actually sculpted. They gave him real pants. Ugh. No, especially this fake pleather. This is gonna flake in no time flat, and it hurts the articulation. You can't freaking bend his knees. So I hate that they did the pants. They look alright, so if you're never gonna pose them or touch them, it doesn't matter. It looks fine. But also, they're just too shiny. Everything is matte finish on this guy, and these are shiny. They look like pleather, which they are. Ugh. Nope, don't like that. Worst choice ever. Otherwise, he looks pretty cool. So, I want to get into the rest of it because that's the important part. There's his face. Oops, there's his face up close if you wanted to see that. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 for the aesthetic. He looks nice. But we run into problems almost immediately. So, well, I guess the accessories will be okay. So, looks nice. Let's move on. Accessory-wise, you already saw the helmet and all of the armor. You can count that. I'm not going to count that, though, because it's, it's either on him or it's not. If you leave it on him, it's not an accessory. You have an alternate head where he's yelling. That looks pretty good. You got a bunch of different hands. Those are pretty good. You have alternate feet. So if you want to take his boots off, you can do that and put on his orc feet. So that's pretty cool. You do get a couple of hands for using the armor, which is nice. Those are sculpted really well. Love those. You get a longer chain, which you could use for... I would assume you want to use it for his weapon, but you could technically put it on the other parts of his armor too, the shoulder pads where he has it. But then he has this giant stabby hammer, which is just really well done. That's cool. That's probably the best job they've done with the glow effect. If you want to compare, I'll show you the hammer up close. The glowy effect there actually looks kind of like a furnace. And then the glowy effect on his neck piece, it's too neon. It doesn't look quite right. It doesn't have the same glow. Maybe it looks good on camera. In person, it does not look as good as the hammer. But anyway, the hammer looks really nice. So you get that. And that's it for accessories. That's a good spread. That's fine. I'll go, especially if you're going to include the armor, which I guess you can if you really must. I'll go 9 out of 10 for accessories. No display stand or anything, of course, holds it back. But still plenty of other accessories. No flame effects. He should have some fire somewhere around here, right? But he doesn't. Okay, so as far as articulation goes, as you might guess, when he's got these gigantic shoulder pads and all of this going on his belt and his big fat boots, his arms, like, he's barely posable. Like, almost literally useless. You can use the torso because it's kind of unencumbered, but yeah, you're not going to do much. So I'm going to take all of the stuff off, and then I'll review the figure, and you can decide how much you care about the limitations of the armor. So give me a minute. Alright, so we got all of his stuff off, and now we can do a second, before we get into the articulation the rest of the way, I want to do a second aesthetic rating. It's terrible. It looks goofy as hell. First of all, he definitely skipped leg day, which you can obviously have small legs on an orc, but the way they've done it, it just looks weird. The way his waist is little and then his hips get big, but then his legs also look little at the same time. It's very strange. The upper body is okay if you just look at like just this part, but then he has no traps and his head sticks up high. It's clearly made for the armor, which doesn't work if you're advertising it as you can remove the armor. Now, what I would recommend, and here's how it works, like this is the collar piece, it just goes around the arms. So you could like maybe take that off and then these guys just go on through the shoulder pegs. Maybe leave the shoulder pads on to hide stuff. And the skirt, or his belt, whatever you want to call it, this piece. But yeah, the pleather pants, he just looks terrible if you ask me. The pleather pants, the whole look of the thing. Also, the armor has scuffed up the paint. So he's definitely not a good looking figure without armor. You cannot go armorless, or this guy looks goofy as hell. But I think he has too much armor on him normally to make him functional. So you really have to decide what you want to do with this guy. If you want to try to remove everything, I have to warn you, it's a goofy looking thing. So be aware of that. Now, as far as articulation goes, it's definitely a Storm Collectibles figure, okay? We have the head that moves around just like a Storm figure, and it works. It's on the ball peg that goes inside the body. We have the hinge inside, just like the modern Storm figures. We have the hinge that brings the arms forward if you want. It's a little bit floppy and loose. Then you get the ball socket that holds the shoulder in place, and this thing rotates too much, and that's annoying, that cap piece. But yeah, it's definitely Storm articulation on the inside. The shoulder doesn't have great range, honestly, probably because they figure you're going to leave the armor on. Bicep swivel is there, but you have to fight with it a little bit. The old style Storm elbows, this has to be in the same factory, it has to be. 90 degrees though, I'll give him that. And then you get the ball hinge wrists, and the hands are a softer plastic, just like Storm, so you can swap those out easily. He leans forward and back. Well, he doesn't lean back very far, and you definitely don't want to do that without his belt on. But he does lean forward okay, so that's alright. Side to side, he has good range, and this is super squishy, just like a Storm figure. And then with these pants on, his legs are basically worthless, and they're not designed to come off. So I'm guessing they assembled this by no feet on it, put the legs in each side, and then attach them. I don't know, but these pants are just, it's absolutely the worst material you could ever use for anything. Like, you can't move his legs barely at all. It's really terrible. Like, cannot bend his knee unless you go forward first, and then you can bend it a little bit, but even then, basically none. And the ankles, they go back okay. they pop off when you go too far forward, which is almost not too far forward. I mean, like, it's not too far forward. It's just barely, and then they pop off because they're interchangeable. So there's that. And then the toes are questionable. The toe hinge, the placement is weird. This is definitely a Storm Collectibles figure. I mean, it's the same factory, of course. It's not the branding. There's no way anybody will convince me this is not made by the same people. Yeah, his articulation's only average, I guess. And with the stuff on him, with the armor on him, it sucks. With the armor off, it works, but it still kind of sucks, and he is goofy looking. So I'm going to say articulation-wise, this guy gets a 5 out of 10 at best. It's there. But since you have to leave the armor on, really, I mean, the sculpt is kind of alright, but it's so goofy looking. Golly, give him some traps. His head does not go down any farther than that, by the way. Yeah, so overall rating for this guy, you have to leave the armor on, and then he looks kind of cool, but he's too encumbered to do anything. So you're going to have to find the right balance. I'm just going to say 7 out of 10. It looks pretty cool. But posability blows big time in a lot of ways, so you guys can decide how you feel about that. Okay, I don't know. So, yeah, I guess I'll just leave it there. I guess I'll give him a 7 out of 10, and I don't know what else to say about it. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll be done there. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So, make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.